Yeah, we're good.
Okay. The reward for work well done is the opportunity to do more, stated by Jonas Salk. He was the eldest son of an Orthodox Jewish Polish immigrant family. He was born in East Harlem, New York on October 28, 1914. He was a graduate at 15 of the Townsend Harris High for the Gifted. After high school, he proceeded on to the City College of New York and got a bachelor's degree in science. He transferred to New York University and majored in medicine. His initial study was law, and then he took a few science classes and became interested in biology and chemistry, which decided his career. He was married twice. He had 4 sons and 1 daughter. Jonas Salk changed the world in the 20th century with his medical discoveries, saving lives by creating the polio vaccine. To begin with, he first created the influenza vaccine, which I'm sure most of you guys get flu season. I just had the flu yesterday and the day before. It's common now. In 1938. In 1947, he became the director of the virus research lab at the University of Pittsburgh. Thomas Francis Jr. approached him in around 1938, at the same time he took the job at Pittsburgh, to come up with an influenza vaccine for the men at war during World War II. In 1948, he was approached by the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis to come up with to record the number of polio vaccines, which goes back to my opening quote. He didn't have to come up with a polio vaccine, but it opened more opportunities, opened more doors for him to have the opportunity to create it. This was stated by nnbd.com. Sarah Bolton stated, his study of immunology was the insight that a killed virus would kill off another, thus leading him into the poliovirus vaccine. Following, in 1952, 58,000 cases of polio were recorded, 3,145 were dying, and 21,269 were left with mild to disabling paralysis. The country became in a panic. Mothers were keeping their children home from school. They were avoiding places like parks, movie theaters, swimming pools, because they didn't want their child to come in contact with another child that had polio. It was a highly contagious disease. It was the outbreaks were more often in the summer, because the kids are more in contact with each other. Joel Klein stated this from kidshealth.com. In Pittsburgh, he began his studies, or is where he began his studies. When given the vaccine, your body would produce antibodies against the virus, so you're no longer contagious. PBS.org stated that it took 8 years for him to create the vaccine. He was determined and devoted his time to research because of the massive outbreak. Scientists became frantic to find a cure. It wasn't just a disease that was here in the U.S., but it was also in other countries, and scientists around the world were trying to come up with a vaccine. Because of this, it shows that he wanted to change the world in such a large way because there were so many cases going on. 58,000 cases in America alone is a big number. The vaccine was finally released on April 12, 1955. There's controversy on whether or not to call it a national holiday. Jonas was also not in it for the money. He basically became famous overnight. Last fall, Salk put his time towards other matters. He devoted his time to fields of medicine, biology, philosophy, architecture, and the history of medicine. This is stated by biography.com. He also published multiple books and essays about human life and the theory of evolution, such as Man Unfolding, The Survival of the Wisest, World Population and Human Values, A New Reality, Anatomy of Reality, Merging of Intuition. His last years during his life were spent looking for ways to come up to cure HIV and AIDS. To sum up, he died on June 23rd due to heart failure. These points indicate that he did not just dedicate his time to medicine, but also put his work towards other fields. This one illustrates that he is one of the most influential people in the 20th century. With that, I just have a couple of pictures. FDR was one of our former presidents and had polio. He created the March of Dimes Foundation that was basically to help raise money to cure or to help other kids get cured.